Before I reveal my favorite current NBA player, I would like to show you a little something. So, here is an extremely fake Shaquille O'Neal Los Angeles Lakers jersey. This is the first ever NBA jersey I've ever owned because honestly, Shaq is pretty much the reason I started watching basketball. I absolutely love this guy. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Anthony Bruno Show. I am Anthony Bruno, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about my top 5 favorite current NBA players. So that doesn't mean that I think that these are the top 5 players in the world. It's just my personal list of my favorite current NBA players. And I'm probably going to go on a couple side rants as well, so it should be fun. So let's go. All right, so coming in at number 5 on my list of my top 5 favorite current NBA players is from my favorite team, the Toronto Raptors. It's Pascal Siakam. I absolutely love his story. When he was a kid, Siakam's father wanted him to be a priest. So he didn't even start playing organized basketball until he was 17 years old. If you tried to play a new sport, okay, at a high level at 17 years old, you'd be absolute trash, okay? And instead, about 5 years after that, Pascal Siakam was in the NBA. So it's just absolutely outrageous, the journey this guy has taken. Over a 3-year span, and now this is absolutely mind-blowing, Siakam went from averaging 7 points a game to the following year being the second best player on a championship team. And then the year after that, he was a starter in the All-Star game for the Eastern Conference. I mean, it's like it's straight out of a movie. It's unbelievable. And what I love about Siakam is that he gets better every single year. Think about when this guy first came up to the Raptors. He was basically just an energy guy. He was running up and down the court, playing defense, bringing all the grit and being that hustle guy, right? He really couldn't do much. And think about what he's turned into now. Like just 3-4 years after that, he's now shooting 36% from 3. He's averaging 24 a game. He's one of the Raptors' best playmakers, one of their primary ball handlers. He's a great defender. His energy is still through the roof. To see what this guy has done in such a short period of time is nothing short of unbelievable. And honestly, I'm like a proud father watching the guy. Like every single time I see him out there, he's adding new things to his game. Now he has a fadeaway jumper. I mean, the dude's insane. And the moment that I knew that Pascal Siakam had arrived, it was game 1 of the NBA Finals against Golden State. He goes off for 32, 8, and 5. He looked unstoppable that night. He was making Draymond Green look silly. He was scoring at will, doing everything at will. And it was that moment that I knew that this kid was going to be a star. And you know what? I think he's going to have a lot more playoff magic throughout his career. And it's going to be so awesome to watch him. Okay, coming in at number 4 on my list of my top 5 favorite current NBA players from the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic. And it all started with the YouTube highlights. That's the first time I've ever seen him. It was on YouTube, and I was absolutely hooked. He was just so damn smooth, man. Unreal playmaker, controlled the pace of the game like a 10-year vet. He's just so smart, and he can do so many things on the basketball court. He's got great size too for a point guard, and I was so convinced that he should have been the number 1 pick in the 2018 NBA draft. He was the EuroLeague MVP at the age of 18, the youngest player in history to do that. On top of that, he was the EuroLeague Finals MVP as well, leading his team Real Madrid to the championship. And I was just thinking, like, what the hell are these teams missing to not take this guy first overall in the draft? And I get it, right? I mean, everyone's usually focused on the NCAA. That's where all the best athletes are, where all the top prospects are. A lot of teams have been burned in the past taking European guys, at the top of the draft. So I get why maybe some teams were a little bit hesitant to take him. But to me, it made absolutely no sense. I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's time to bring Trae Young into the conversation, and the reason I'm doing that is because Trae Young and Luka Doncic will forever be linked because of that draft day trade. And here's the thing with Trae Young, okay? He's an awesome player. He fills up the stat sheet. He's one of the best offensive players in the game, and he's so fun to watch. And there's a lot of Trae Young fans, and obviously a lot of people like Luka as well, but I think a lot of people think that they're equals, and I totally disagree with that, because when you look at Trae Young, his team, okay, and I understand his supporting cast maybe isn't as good as Luka's, but honestly, outside of Kristaps Porzingis, who on Dallas is jumping off the page to you, okay? So when you look at Trae Young's team, they are 27 games under 500, 14th in the Eastern Conference. They're worse than the New York Knicks. And then when you look at the other side at Luka, he's filling up the stat sheet too. He's basically averaging a triple-double. The Mavericks have 40 wins. They're in a playoff spot. I mean, there's just no debate to me. I mean, Luka is just the better player, and he's always going to be a better player than Trae Young. He is the sole reason the Dallas Mavericks are in a playoff spot this year. Oh, and that Luka smile, it gets me every single time. This is a guy who has the ability to win multiple MVP awards. He's awesome. Moving along here, coming in at number 3 on my list of my top 5 favorite current NBA players. He used to play on my favorite team, and now he plays on the Los Angeles Clippers. It's the Claw, Kawhi Leonard. He's the best player in the world, plain and simple. I don't care what anyone says. He is the first guy I would take if I was trying to win the title. He is number 1 on my list. The dude is just absolutely insane. He can score from anywhere on the court. He can score whenever the hell he wants. He's an all-world defender. I mean, we all know how good he is. So basically, Kawhi comes to Toronto, does his little laugh, and then we don't hear from him for pretty much the entire year. He then goes on to assassinate the entire league, wins the title, and then goes, okay, bye Toronto. I don't care. I'm just going to go wherever the hell I want and win the title wherever the hell I want. And I think Kawhi was on the verge of doing something that no other player in the history of basketball has done, who's reached the level of Kawhi Leonard. If you think about the greatest players of all time, none of them have been the best player on 3 different championship teams. And I think that if the NBA season didn't come to a stop this year, that Kawhi and the Clippers had a very good chance to do that. Because I think the Clippers were going to win the title. I think they're the most complete team in the NBA. When they're at full strength, that team's unreal, man. Offensively, defensively, and of course, they have the best player in the world in Kawhi. They would have been my pick to win the NBA title this year, and it would have been so awesome to see if Kawhi could have been the best player on a 3rd championship team. That would have been absolutely insane. And what I love so much about Kawhi is that he's so shy, but at the same time, he just knows that he's better than everybody else. Listen, this is all Kawhi wants to do. He wants to go to work. He wants to absolutely dominate, win a championship, go home, watch TV, and then do it all over again. He's a very simple guy. All right, my second favorite current NBA player is none other than LeBron James. And what else can I say about LeBron that hasn't already been said? He's one of the 2 greatest players of all time. Just for the record, I think he's the GOAT. I mean, the dude can just flat out do anything he wants on a basketball court. Think about this. In his 17th year this year, okay, he just comes in at the age of 35 and says, screw it, I'm just going to lead the league in assists. He can do so many things at such a high level that it basically just seems like he was made in a lab. We may never, ever see a player like LeBron James ever again. And I have never been as excited as a basketball fan, okay? So besides my Toronto Raptors winning the 2019 NBA championship, I have never been as excited as a basketball fan as I was in the 2016 Finals, Game 7, Cavs-Warriors. When Kyrie hit that 3, I lost my shit because I was so damn happy for LeBron James. He kept his promise with Cleveland. He finally got them one, and it was just such a beautiful moment. And I just thought he deserved that so much because of everything that he had gone through since day one when he walked in the NBA, and how he was under a microscope, and first everyone loved him, and then everybody hated him, and then everyone loved him again. He had an incredible journey up into that point, and I genuinely hope LeBron James continues to play basketball into his 40s, and I really hope that he smashes every single NBA record in the books. But saying all that, he is not my favorite current NBA player. Before I reveal my favorite current NBA player, I would like to show you a little something. So, here is an extremely fake Shaquille O'Neal Los Angeles Lakers jersey. This is the first ever NBA jersey I've ever owned because honestly, Shaq is pretty much the reason I started watching basketball. I absolutely love this guy. He is one of the most dominant players of all time. He was just so overpowering, and it was just unbelievable to watch this guy at 7'1", 300 plus pounds, move around the way that he did. It was just insane. So that brings me to this. The player who reminds me the most of Shaquille O'Neal, and he is my favorite current NBA player from the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is just an absolute animal. He reminds me exactly of Shaq. And listen, I know he's not as big as Shaq, and he can do a lot more things than Shaquille O'Neal could do. I mean, Shaq essentially just stood in the paint and dunked. And Giannis does that a lot too, but Giannis is a great playmaker. He's obviously a great defender. He's developed into a pretty solid shooter. I mean, he's still not there as a shooter yet, but he's getting there. He's unbelievable. He was going to win back-to-back MVPs this year. He was averaging 30, 14, and 6 this year before the NBA was suspended. The Bucks were the number 1 overall seed in the NBA at 53 and 12. They were beating teams on average by 11.3 points per game. That was the 5th best average point differential per game in NBA history. They were having one of the historically great seasons, and it's all because of Giannis. I mean, he's just that good. There's nothing that makes me happier than seeing Giannis flying down the court at full speed and ending someone's career with a tomahawk dunk. Another thing about Giannis, this year, his PER, his player efficiency rating, was over 31. It was actually the 7th highest single season player efficiency rating in NBA history. So he was having an unbelievable season. Like I said, I think he would have won back-to-back MVPs. It's too bad that we might not get to see the conclusion to this season, but Giannis is just so good. And I do believe that it would have been Bucks versus Raptors in the Eastern Conference Final for the 2nd straight year. And yes, of course, I would have been cheering for the Toronto Raptors, but man, oh man, I am scared of the Milwaukee Bucks. And the game that really scared me was that late February game in Toronto. The Bucks, number 1 defense in the league. The Raptors are obviously one of the top defenses as well, but they come into Toronto and they beat the Raptors at Scotiabank Arena. I know that Powell and Gasol weren't playing in that game, but man, the Bucks looked scary. Chris Middleton was playing well. Giannis hit that big 3 late in the game, and that's the big question mark with Giannis, right? Is that can he take over a game late? Because we saw him crater against the Raptors last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, but what he did in that game in Toronto, hitting that late 3 ball, I mean, it's a glimpse of what he's capable of doing now, and I think he's added more of an arsenal to his offensive game, and I think that he's slowly becoming a better shooter. And listen, once Giannis actually becomes a consistent shooter, and I don't know if he's ever going to get to the point where he's a great shooter, but if he continues to improve that jump shot, he's basically going to be unstoppable. He's already unstoppable, but it's just going to get flat out scary from that point on. So those were my top 5 favorite current NBA players. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment below and let me know who your top 5 favorite current NBA players are. And if you like what you see, throw me a like, throw me a sub, and I will see you guys next time.